Hello.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the pod.
It's Valentine's Day today that we're recording this. Happy Valentine's Day, Jill.
Happy Valentine's Day. We love it. Oh well,
We love love.
I love love. I'm neutral about Valentine's Day, but
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I did buy my child some heart stickers so she could do a little craft at some point today. I'm probably gonna regret that because stickers are like so annoying. But yeah, it is what it is. To me, it's like a Wednesday.
Yeah.
It feels very Wednesday today.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a lot of motivation in this house today. So fun.
Okay.
That said, I did like a whole bunch of housework this morning while I listened to a podcast and made protein bagels. And as I was telling Jill before, last time they turned out more like cookies. Today, 2 out of 10 turned out to be looking like bagels. The rest are still cookies. So we're on the come up as far as I'm concerned.
We're making progress.
Really loving the protein bagels because now I get to use my everything but the bagel seasoning.
Yeah.
Which I love. I feel like I bought that on impulse. I had some plans for some avocado toast, I'm sure, at one point, but I just don't like avocado on toast.
That's fair. We love some high protein bagels. I need to get back in the groove. I overdid it, but I feel like I could probably get back into it a little.
They're pretty easy though. I don't know if listeners, if you follow Jill on TikTok, or I think you post on Instagram too, it's just it's like a cup of flour, a cup of Greek yogurt, a teaspoon of baking powder, and you make them into bagels and then you cook them at 350 for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
25 minutes, I think, or maybe whatever it works out to be. But that's it. They're not difficult. It's not like you people who are making bread and you have been since COVID and you're feeding your sourdoughs and to me that seems like oof. No, not for me.
Sourdough
to make up bagels in 10 minutes. Yeah,
I used to do the sourdough life. I still could, but I need to I gotta get better at getting in a routine with it, because I feel like sourdough is not a thing you can just make one loaf of and then not touch forever. You need to actually stay consistent with.
Well, yeah, it's to me it seems maybe somebody who's done it will probably tell me that it's not that complicated. It seems complicated to me, and that makes my brain hurt.
That's fair.
And we don't do things that make my brain hurt.
I feel like it's not complicated if you stay in a groove with it, but it gets harder the more you do it. And I just am not that good at baking, so my loaves are very inconsistent, which doesn't really make me want to keep doing it, because I'm this is either going to be great or complete shit, and it's too much work for that high of risk. So
yeah, but when it works out, man, it's delicious.
Mm-hmm.
It's delicious.
Do you have a win for the week? Or your bagels your win?
Oh, besides the bagels, yeah. Do I have a win? Yeah, I think the bagels are a win. Couple small things. I had a good run on the weekend. Yeah, just work is going really smooth lately. There's been no fires that I've had to put out, in terms of admin stuff or otherwise. My child is sleeping again, for those who are following the saga. Okay. Yeah, it's still a struggle. She's really fighting it, but I think it's just being 2, and she's just trying to have some power.
Mm-hmm.
And she's trying to stall bedtime and everything like that, but it's just being 2. It's not really a big deal. Yeah, I signed her up for gymnastics classes. We start this week. Super fun. went to this drop-in and she was flat out the whole time. And I was like, maybe we should do gymnastics. Like, so anyways, I'm sure it'll be adorable. She already can do a bunch of the skills. Like she can do somersaults and shit like that. So we'll see.
I love that.
Maybe she'll stop jumping on my couch if she has a trampoline to jump on once a week.
Maybe.
Anyways, yeah, but I wouldn't say any like big wins, just a bunch of little things are going pretty okay right now. What about you?
That is fine. My win is that last week I attempted high protein brownies and they were actual garbage. So this is your PSA that like don't believe every recipe you see on the internet, because I followed the recipe to a T and they were actually trash. And like I always lower my expectations with high protein things because I feel like they're always a little off. It's not the original thing, so it's going to be a little bit different. But like when I tell you like I couldn't eat them, like they just had to go in the garbage.
What do you think was like the ingredient that made them like?
Okay, well, I think first of all, I think the girl that posted it is a liar, because I literally followed her instructions, ingredients to a T. And I think a lot of people, unpopular opinion, I could do a whole podcast about this. A lot of people on the internet lie about how good their high protein things are.
Oh my God, yeah.
But like nobody calls them out on it. And like maybe I'm part of the problem because I should have went back to that and been like, yeah, these are garbage. But
yeah, slide into her DMs and just be like, hey, I don't know if you actually ate these brownies, but I threw mine away.
Yeah, like they were bad. So
I have made some protein like muffins or whatever where you just like add protein powder like willy-nilly, and I'm just like, no, I don't think this is the way to go.
Yeah, I did end up tweaking them. I think the problem was there's way too many fucking bananas. Like it was like 5 bananas. So then you're not going to taste anything else. I don't care how much chocolate or like cocoa powder you put in there. You're only tasting bananas. She also didn't blend them. She just like mashed them. So then there was just like chunks of banana, which was not the vibe. So then I redid them on Monday and I used like similar base, but only like 2 bananas.
I was going to say, how do you have this many bananas to like mess around with?
Yeah, I was pissed because I'm like, well, I just lost 5 bananas. Like that's garbage. I only used 2 bananas and I blended everything. So there was no chunks of bananas. And I used chocolate protein powder and then like a shit ton of cocoa powder. And it was giving like chocolate banana bread, but we're not mad about it because they actually like fluffed up. They're actually like if you're watching on YouTube, the first brownies were like this big. They were just like dense blobs of banana. And then these ones actually like rose properly. So you'll see that video on TikTok and Instagram. And my win is that because I'm not a baker, but the fact that I was like, I can fix this. And then it actually worked. I was kind of proud of myself.
I feel like, did you see this? Did she post a video of her recipe? Because if she did, you need to go back and you need to stitch said video with, okay, so I made these, they were crap, but this is how you can make them better.
Yeah, it was a reel I saw, so I don't know if I could do that. Maybe she has a TikTok somewhere. I should go look. But like, I was just proud of myself for like being like, wait, no, we can fix this. And then I actually fixed it as a non-baker. I don't know what I was doing. I just like threw a bunch of shit in a bowl and this has to be better. And then it actually worked. So there will be a constant. You're going to see them in muffin form. Maybe I'll make a loaf form of them too. So I'm just going to override her videos with an annoying amount of my videos, and then hopefully hers just disappear in the algorithm.
Yeah, but you're right. Like, what a shame to lose that many bananas to shitty brownies.
Yeah. So now it's more of like a chocolate banana bread, but like it's good. And like it's got some protein in it.
Like, was it ever really going to be anything but chocolate banana bread with that?
No, like as soon as she was using 5 bananas, I'm like, this is not tasting like a brownie. Like there's no way you're overriding the flavor of 5 bananas.
No, not at all.
My win is that I baked and not from a recipe and it worked. So
that sort of reminds me of the people that are like, you can like, there's always somebody that's going to like whip up like 20 bananas and freeze them and be like, it's just like ice cream. And you're like, no, it's literally frozen bananas, but yeah, good try.
Banana is a flavor to override. So
yeah. But that kind of leads into what we're going to talk about today. which is cheat meals, satisfaction, those kinds of things. Because I feel like a lot of people are still in this mentality of that all or nothing is what it comes back to, where we're like, it's my cheat day. I can eat whatever I want, or this is my cheat meal, or, you follow like a restrictive nutrition plan for whatever amount of time. It doesn't really matter what the amount of time is. But eventually you end up finishing it off with more food than you've ever had in your entire life. And then you feel like garbage, like bodybuilders. I'm talking to you. You see the people who like, they come off stage and they're like, oh, I would die for a Reese's peanut butter cup. And they're like bawling over a candy bar because they've just been in restriction for so long. So we're talking about that. If you've ever done a cheat day, a cheat meal, etc., or called it that, now, what better time than now to stop?
Yep. I think cheat meals have definitely died off to an extent.
Oh yeah, it's not as popular as it used to be.
But like they're not gone. They're still there. And I still see people post about them. I think it's more so still in like the bodybuilding world. I don't see as many like lifestyle nutrition coaches pushing cheat meals, which we love, but it's still very much ingrained. And like I say this with love, but like there's so many of my clients that are like, well, I didn't track on this one day, or I like ate out this one night. So like that was just like my cheat day or my cheat meal. And I'm like, no, no, we just ate food. Like we're not calling it that. We're not doing the thing. Cause
yeah.
If you didn't know, the like psychology behind cheat meals is not great for anyone because cheating is inherently bad. It's not often somebody's like, oh my God, congrats on cheating on your test, on your significant other, on that board game, in your sporting event. Like it doesn't matter where we're cheating. It's never a positive. So why are we bringing that into nutrition?
The other language that you might hear is, oh, I was so bad.
Yeah.
And I ate blank. And that I feel like that the reason why I said it relates back to your win is because I feel like a lot of people will be like, well, I can eat as many of these protein brownies as I like because they're protein, but I'm still kind of cheating the system, whatever the system is. And I feel like we get a lot of these, like, I'm surprised we haven't seen it really this time of year. Maybe like more like around Christmas stuff. People will be like, this is a healthy peanut butter cup. And it's like, just have a peanut butter cup. It doesn't taste the same. There's no way.
Yeah.
So nobody does it like Reese's. Reese's, if you're in the States.
Surely. Yeah.
Shout out to the Americans. Yeah. And I was telling Jill about this because I'm pretty sure she doesn't listen to the podcast. So we'll just tell the story. If you do, this is about you. I know somebody who's doing like a 75 hard type thing, and they posted a picture of a meal out, and it was like a salad. It looked good to me. Like it was like salad, protein, whatever. It was at a fancy-ish restaurant. And they said, this is my dinner, although I wish it's not nearly as satisfying or something like that as my partner's fish and chips. But they don't call it 75 hard for nothing. And I was like, $10, you have a fry, or 6 later. But you know what? Like you do you, but just have the damn fish and chips if that's what you want. Like this is why these like heavily restricted things don't work. Because you know what? I bet you, and that was like maybe a week ago, I bet she's still thinking about those fish and chips.
Yeah, I guarantee it.
Right? I would be if I was like, oh man, like I totally missed out. But like, here's the thing. You can have a bite, a few fries, like go halvesies on the fish and chips. If you're like, if you know you don't want the whole thing, order a side of salad instead of the chips. Like there's so many ways to be somewhere in the middle in that moderation part of it, that doesn't lead you to this all or nothing restrictive overindulgence behavior. Um, and when you learn how to do that, then your life around food can truly begin, because nutrition, not that hard.
No.
Not that hard. You can make room for everything.
Yeah, and I think it's just like we do ourselves dirty and we don't think we are, like, in the moment. We're like, oh my God, I'm being so good and like I'm following my plan and I'm doing the thing and whatever. And then we flip to, I couldn't control myself anymore, so I ate all of it and now I feel shitty. And then we just get stuck in this like terrible hamster
And
wheel.
then you feel shitty, so you restrict again. And then you restrict and you restrict and you restrict. And then until it all bubbles up to, I couldn't take it anymore, I overindulged again. Whereas you could have had a little bit here, a little bit there, and we're like, mostly, you're going to see my hands in quotations, YouTube, mostly good. What does that mean? With some sprinklings of, I don't like to say treats, but, you know, less nutrient dense foods, all over the place. And you can still meet your goals with that.
Yeah. And cheat meals are just such a interesting thing to me, because they just like, why is it? Here's my theory. People take a cheat meal or a cheat day and they go to the extreme. They eat whatever they want, as much as they want, as much as they can, a lot of the time. I promise you, if you're worried about calorie intake, if that is your biggest concern, and that's why we reserve it for a meal or a day, if you took the amount of calories you consumed in that day or meal, because you probably overdid it, and spread it out throughout the week and let yourself have a cookie here or some ice cream there or like some fries, your calorie intake isn't actually any different. We just took the 1,500 calories you ate in one meal and spread it out over a week instead. So even when coaches come at it from like it's a calorie intake thing, it's not. You could take those calories and spread them, even if it was 500 calories, you could spread them out throughout the week and have it in there, and it would make absolutely no difference. My other favorite narrative around cheat meals is the like, well, it boosts your metabolism. If you eat more one of the days, your metabolism will spike and then you burn more fat. That's very bodybuilder. But it's like, it's a thing I've heard many times from many bodybuilding coaches, that it's like, no, go have a cheat day so that your metabolism spikes and then you end up burning more fat the next couple days.
I don't even know what to say to that. That just sounds so ridiculous. Like, physiologically, no.
Yeah.
No, your metabolism adjusts to the calories you give it. That's how that works. But let me tell you something. If you continue to heavily restrict and then go overboard and then heavily restrict again, the more times you restrict, the less reactive that little metabolism friend becomes. And then it's like, oh, actually, bruh, I'm tired, for lack of a better term. So actually, you're doing the opposite.
Yeah.
Truly. I'm not saying your metabolism stops or you're, I was in starvation mode or whatever, any of those weird phrases, but like, it is less reactive every time you restrict. So that's how you can, and I know I've said this on the podcast before because I'm having a deja vu moment, but that's how you can get to the point where you restrict to like, the amount of calories a day that a toddler needs, and you stop losing weight because your metabolism's like, nah, just no. It's just that unreactive that you're like, oh, so you restrict more and you restrict more, which only makes you overindulge more, because we know that happens. It's basically like that, the law of, the equal and opposite reactions.
Science.
Totally applies here. It's science. # science. It actually is, because it is physiology.
It literally is science. But I think like even us explaining the justification behind cheat meals and cheat days, like, it doesn't make sense. And if you take the extremes we're doing in one day and spread it out over a week, it wouldn't be any different. But we use these like fancy and crazy terms to like justify why we're doing these extreme things. And I think the more people have to explain why you should do it or why you need to do it, the less you probably should.
Mm-hmm. And truly, this kind of goes back to like, what you eat earlier in the day or earlier in the week directly impacts the end of the week or the end of the day. You'll have people that start off with like, I'm eating my protein oats or whatever, something significantly less satisfying than that, but whatever it is. And then they're like, I'm having a salad with no dressing, plain chicken at lunch. And then dinner, and I have a salad and chicken again. But man, 7:00 hits and I have like 3 bowls of ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Or the same thing happens during the week. You're like, I'm good. And then by Thursday, Friday, you're like, we're not good. Now I have 4 pizzas on the way on Friday night. So just know that like you might be able to hold it off and push down your feelings of hunger, push down your cravings, and tell your body that you're not craving that. You're not hungry. But truly, it will catch up to you. I don't care if it's the same day, 3 days later, 7 days later, 75 days later, whatever it is, if you actually finish 75 hard, which you probably won't, statistically speaking, it will catch up to you and you will overindulge and then you'll hate yourself for it. And so begins the cycle of restricting and overindulging once again.
Yep.
It doesn't really get much more simple than that. I don't think there's a single person who can be like, oh no, I never overindulge, who's doing like a heavily restricted thing. You will. If you haven't yet, it's coming.
You will at some point. And it's the same reason why with my clients, like I don't use strict meal plans, because anyone can go and follow a meal plan for a week, 2 weeks, a month, maybe. And then we get bored and we give up and we go back to whatever we were doing before, but we haven't actually changed any of the habits. So if you feel like you have to restrict that hard, you need to work on your habits, not your ability to follow a plan. I made a post about this a long time ago. If you come out of every weekend feeling crappy about your nutrition, it's not a lack of an ability to follow a plan. It's that you haven't actually changed any of your habits. So you're great Monday to Friday, and then you suck on Saturday and Sunday because we haven't actually addressed any of the habit problems or the educational side of nutrition. You're just good at following a plan until you get bored of it. And I think that's similar to why cheat days exist.
And also know that like if that's what like a coach is having you do, or if that's the kind of plan that you're following, it's not facilitating any independence and decision making in you as a person, right? If you're listening to this, you're an adult and you can make your own decisions about food. But if you're just like, man, if I ever don't follow this plan, whatever it is, and I know it used to be, people were really big on the one with the containers. It's escaping me. The Whole30, that's what it was. You had like a blue container and a red one and a green one, and you just fill them up with like, this is the veggie serving, this is the protein, this is the almonds. And if you feel like you can't function without following that plan to a T, whether it's a meal plan or something like that, whoever's giving that to you is not creating any independence in you as a person. And therefore, you don't have any confidence in your ability to make decisions around food, which is why when you get into a situation where you're not on the plan, like something a lot of my clients have a hard time with, or a lot of people have a hard time with, I should say, is like a buffet situation, right? You go to an all-inclusive resort and all of a sudden, every single food you could ever want is available right now because it's lunchtime or it's dinner time. And you're like, this is where you go back for like 4 plates because you can't make an independent decision about what your body needs for satisfaction or cravings or whatever to fuel you in the moment. So you take everything and you have no self-control. You're in a scarcity mindset and you're like, it'll never be like this again, even though you know it's going to be the same dinner buffet for the next 7 days. But that's why there's coaches like Jill and I, because we specifically address situations like this and we help you actually make decisions for yourself and your body about nutrition.
Yep. And yeah, I just think we don't need the extremes anymore. And I do think it's fading out. I think we're making progress, but
I'll
never
admit
gonna
this
go
was the
away.
first thing I've seen that sort of got me thinking about, oh man, like cheat meals. Weird.
Forgot about those for a second. Yeah, I think, yeah, anything with the extremes is never going to get you where you want to be. It's just going to make you feel better for a short amount of time until you get bored of it or sick of it or you don't want to follow it anymore. It's the same. I had a client and I love her with all my heart, but she came out of the new year being like, I want to do 75 hard. And I was like, okay, what does that look like for you? And then she was like, yeah, but not this and not that and not another thing. I was like, so we don't want to do 75 hard then. And I say that with so much love because I think the extremes sound nice because we're like, that'll get me to where I want to go. And then you think about the fact you actually have to do all those things and that gets far less appealing. So instead of feeling like you have to stick to a nutrition plan you hate for 5 out of 7 days, just find one you don't hate and then you don't have to have a cheat meal. Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the other part of this, the extreme part is like, yeah, like, are we just calling it 75 hard because that's catchy and people kind of were like, ooh, you're doing 75 hard. Ooh. But can't we just say like it doesn't sound nearly as sexy for me to be like, yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm really just trying to be consistent and do like 3 or 4 lifting workouts a week, 2 or 3 cardio sessions a week. And I'm just really focusing on getting my sleep routine down and getting enough protein at every meal. And, you know, like whatever you want to throw in there. But it's like, that doesn't sound nearly as sexy as I'm doing 75 hard. Like, right? Like, is this the reason? Is this the driver? I don't know. I think it's cool to like have like a consistency thing, but apparently it always comes back and people are like, no. And then 75 hard pops up again. And I'm like, the fuck, is this thing still here?
Yep. It's still here.
Like,
Still
are we
kicking.
still going to the extremes of nutrition and fitness? And like, what is this like 2 45-minute workouts a day? Sometimes I can't even manage one.
Well, it's
Let
also
alone
because
45 minutes. Bitch.
it should say 2 45-minute movement sessions is what it should be because it says
And one of them has to be outside.
which is a walk. In case nobody's put 2 and 2 together, that means you're working out and going for a walk, which most people do every day. So I think the wording around those things is so interesting too, because like it's easier being in the industry to see it, but I'm like, yeah, that's not 2 workouts. That's a walk and a workout, which is great. We love that. But most people are doing that already. When we word it as 2 45-minute workouts and one of them has to be outside, that sounds big and scary.
Maybe most people like, I don't walk 45 minutes every day. We go for a walk every day, but it's probably like 20 minutes and it's toddler paced. So it's like barely.
If you word it as strength training and a walk every day, that's far less cool than 2 45-minute workouts and one has to be outside.
It doesn't sound nearly as fun.
Yeah.
Or sexy, right? That's the thing about it is like the extremes sound sexy. Right?
Or if I told you to do a workout and go for a walk every day, you'd be like, cool, I already do that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I'd be like, thanks. Hot tip, Jill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, and maybe that's what it is we need that flat, it's shiny object syndrome is what it is, right? It doesn't sound cool unless you're like, guys, I haven't eaten carbs in a month.
Like, while we're talking about 75 hard, technically I've been doing 75 hard for like most of my health and fitness journey.
Well, it's no longer 75 hard, Jill. It's Jill's hard.
Like, welcome to my life. Weird. But like, it's not, if people ask me what I do and I say, well, I eat mostly whole foods, high protein, I go for a walk and I work out, that's far less cool than I do 75 hard.
I feel like I need to insert for the millennials here. Welcome to my life. Okay, now you can proceed. Yeah, I think The important part of this is that building consistency in being mostly okay is always going to be better than the extremes of all or nothing. And I feel like that has come up a lot with a lot of my clients lately, because we have this notion in our heads that it has to be everything you've got. You have to be putting in these hours in the gym, even if that was your life, 5 years ago or 2 years ago or 10 years ago. We're like, no, like it doesn't count if I'm not going to the extreme. It doesn't count unless I'm putting in 3 or 4 hour-long lifting sessions. What if your life is a complete 180 than what it was 5 years ago? And you're like, yep, I do 4 20-minute sessions a week. And that is good enough in the season that you're in. It doesn't sound as good, but like, does that matter? I don't know. Like, I think, I don't know, this all or nothing stuff. I'm just like, look at me, I'm getting the ick over here. Tune into YouTube to see me mess around with the neck of my sweater as I'm getting the ick. Yeah, this whole all or nothing mindset like totally gives me the ick. And don't get me wrong, I probably would have said once upon a time something like your workout is my warm-up, or like something gross like that. But as I have evolved as a human, as a coach, as a parent, even, no, you move your body on purpose, that counts. Check mark from me.
Yep. We love that. Yeah, I think that's a good place.
Good place to wrap
it up.
Before I rip this hoodie off of my body from the ick.
Yeah, if you hire a coach and they tell you get a cheat meal, run fast and far is the moral of the story.
Run fast and far to our DMs.
It's not going to work out super well for you. But yeah, if you need some support in figuring out your nutrition without the extremes, as always, you know where to find us. If you don't follow us over on the podcast account, it is at Lattes and Lifting Podcast on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube as well if you want to see us while you listen to the pod. And as always, you can find me at coachjill.april on TikTok and Instagram.
And you can find me at JLack Fitness on all the socials.
We will catch you guys next time.
Bye.